Hello, everyone. We are back again. I am Mark Anthony Dark 66, and we are in the next modeling movie installment. The name of this movie is Mark Anthony XX Career Corruption Leads to Southern Darkness. Okay. So, these movie titles that we do here at Dark South, we try to make it as real as possible. I mean, of course, we want like entertaining titles, but my whole like character that I am is like this is really like who I am. Like this is just me showing you like myself and like how I feel and like like how I function in the real world, like etc etc. With that being said, one thing that Dark South does and myself, Mark Anthony Dark 66 does is we we are like against fictitiousness. We're against sugarcoating things, making things seem like they're not what they are, or there's a reason why I'm here, and you could see that in my other movies. But this movie so far, I think, is my personal favorite because this one kind of really explains why I'm on here. I really like all the movie titles. I really do. But to keep it real with everyone, um, especially like my nephews and nieces, like, I'm an uncle in real life. So if my nephews or nieces ever watch my videos, I gotta be like Uncle Mark, setting an example. And I think this particular movie is good for them. It's good for everyone of all ages, but I don't want to say that this movie is not just for kids. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that a lot of things on YouTube are, and on social media is like, I'm on here because I'm an expert and I'm the best at what I do and I have all this knowledge and, I'm a pro model, this, that, and the other thing. You know, before I say this, and I usually don't do this because in my movies I always keep it business and I always avoid talking about politics or things that are not relevant to modeling. But I am an American and I live in a free country and I have freedom of speech. So, with that being said, the first thing I'm going to do before I get into the actual content is I want to make a shout out to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I just want to let you guys know, yes, I am a Christian. And secondly, getting into the content, I think I did this in my second movie. In my second movie, it was a music theme, if I remember correctly, and I took the first, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes just talking about my lifestyle, um, you know, being single at that time and living in America. It was the coronavirus, was like still going on. And really, like, I'm the type of adult where, you know, I don't quit things that I had to start because times get tough or like things change or people change or my situation changes. Like, I just want to keep it raw and real with you guys the best I can. I don't think if the coronavirus ever happened for as long as it did, I would be sitting here right now. And I'm still proud of everything that I've done and everything that I've accomplished. I just know that I know in my heart that everything that I've done and everything that I've accomplished on here in front of my audience, my fans, my friends, my family, happened because of that. Because I really didn't have many options at that time, even to socialize, because it was like, you're like asking everybody if they're vaccinated and stuff. Like I didn't date for a very long time because things were weird. The political environment was weird, and we are not talking about politics on here. Okay, I'm just saying that you can't ignore a global pandemic that shuts everything down for 2.5 years, and your life changes, and the next thing you know, you're this international model YouTube star, and the guy up the street wants an autograph, and you're just like holding your head like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? Like, I try to keep this as real as, and yes, I'm here to entertain you guys. I love entertaining, but I try to keep stuff as real as it is to me, so you could see it from my point of view. Um, I think I think modeling now that I've been doing it for years now. I mean, it's, I guess, my first modeling movies years ago. Um, I got back in it definitely over a year ago, 2 years maybe. You see when I dropped that first modeling video on here. That'll be good, something good to check real quick. Let me just check this out real quick, guys. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so the first modeling video was dropped 2 years ago. So, I mean, I really became a pro before, I want to say like before 2 years ago, like kind of a little before that dropped. Like, I started like getting contracts and deals and endorsements and payoffs and stuff. But the point that I'm trying to make is there's a reason for my name too. My name. Okay, Mark Anthony Dark 66. The Mark Anthony, I don't have to explain that now. The Dark 66, I'm not going to explain it in totality, but there's like, yeah, like, I think like you would understand by now that like I naturally have a dark side. Meaning that I don't have to sit here for the next 2 hours and say, oh, I'm so successful at this, I'm so successful at that, I'm so proud of this, I'm so proud of that, and look at this big star I am. Like, I'm looking for people on social media who are more real and can kind of like explain like how they get into certain things and really be truthful with their audience. Not that I'm on here complaining or bashing anybody. It just seems unnatural to me how everybody became such a sensation. A YouTube millionaire during COVID. I mean, like, okay, like, that's great. I'm happy for you. That's awesome. I'm saying that I don't think I would be on here if the coronavirus never happened, because I know if it never happened, I would have never met my business partner. And I always knew that if I was going to be successful, that I had to have at least one person working with me. And I just thought that, you know, I would just go on in my life, and I would look at modeling as one of those things that I tried to do but I failed in a positive way. I just thought that was going to be it. Okay, so what? I mean, there's worse things out there than having hobbies and, like, them not materializing because you have to grow up or you have to start a family, or, and I'm not gonna let you into my personal life too far, but like, I don't have any kids. I'm still single, happily. But like, let's just pretend that, like, you know, pretend that, like, I had a kid or something, like, if I had a kid, I don't think I'd be on here. But I don't have a kid, and I don't necessarily want a kid. I'm just saying, and not at this moment, but I'm just saying that what you're watching came about because of, one, the coronavirus, two, the politics that we've seen in this country. And I stay away from that on my page. We're not here to talk about politics. I will say that, you know, I am a Christian. That's about as far as I'll go in terms of politics. But it's like, I remember during that time just getting like mildly disgusted with social media. Like, oh, there's all these stars now, and this guy's just a know-it-all. And like, the road up, I don't think, if that happened, and the road leading to that just happened so, like, simultaneously, that I would be sitting here right now with this camera in my hand doing these videos. And I'm like this I'm like this big star now. It's almost like I'm hating on myself, but no, I'm just trying to give you the real deal here. I don't especially want my girlfriends knowing or thinking that, you know, I wanted to choose this route because I do want kids one day. I would like at least a kid. But this is something that I chose as, like, a career, like, number one on my list. And things just happen. I can't, I was even talking to my mom the other day about it, and she saw everything how it happened. I didn't choose this. It chose me. I mean, it's like, and if this progresses more, which it already has, okay, so, I have a kid, okay, so daddy's a model, okay, like, I can face that. But the person behind what you're seeing, okay, there's more depth to me as, like, a real human being. And I'm not here to talk about that, because I'm here to entertain and I'm here to do my job. Okay? But, like, you got to look at this world from a mature standpoint, and you got to be doing something. With all this social media, and let me just end it on this, because I don't want it to seem like I'm doing this big lecture about life experience and stuff like that. When I fell into this, shout out to Bill Fallon. Like, he knew right away. Dad, you knew right away that this was gonna happen. Like, I know it. And my dad never even questioned me about it. He was like, oh yeah, uh, I think we talked about it for like 5 minutes. I was like, yeah, Dad, all that YouTube stuff that we did all the years, it's finally paying off. Finally getting paid for it. and like we're happy. I'm happy, I'm proud. But it doesn't always happen that way, and it's like when I watch these videos, it's like monotonous. It's like I'm this expert and I'm so good at this and I have so much success and you know, not that you want to ruin like your business reputation, but like in the business world, like for my businesses, like that's what my business partners love the most about me is I keep stuff real and I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not saying you always got to be like me and like, you know, but really like half the time, especially during COVID, I'm looking out at social media and I'm like, okay, so this person is talented because they're eating 5 pounds of spam or something like that. You know what I mean? And I'm not attacking anybody. It's just how things happen. You have to like you should be big enough to face your audience as an adult, you know, if you're over, if you're a content creator over the age of 18 and just keep things real, you know? Because really the seriousness of this for your entertainment is always going to be here. Because it's funny when I get all serious like this. I know it's like very entertaining, but at the same time, it's like what I'm trying to express as an adult is sometimes you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills, and you have to go down different avenues to where your strengths are, even if it's not what you planned or you think it's weird or yeah. I mean, nobody. I if anybody plans on a career and they know what's gonna come of it, and now I'm talking about this as a career. Like, if you talk to me during the coronavirus, this is a perfect example. And you'd say, oh yeah, Mark, you're gonna be a globally famous model via social media, and you're gonna have a following, and you're gonna be internet famous, man. Like, what do you think? I would be like, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. I'm going to do this right now, you know. And behind the scenes in my day life, like I still have my own things going on. I'm not gonna sit here and talk to you guys about it, but I am gonna sit here and rectify that if everything hadn't happened so simultaneously during that time, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And that's why I think it's the grace of God that He's bringing me here on here like this because, I believe in God and I believe in, a higher power that is, above me that, controls the universe, etc., etc. So I hope you were able to absorb that. You guys were all able to absorb that for what it is, and I always like picking the music. Excuse me, the movie title in accordance with my dialogue that is scripted. So welcome to my new movie. Again, this is coming out post. This is the post movie after the 3 hour long movie that I just did. Love it. Okay. Dark South Limited presents Mark Antony's music modeling extravaganza, over 3 hours long. Great content. Putting it all on the line with music modeling. Some of my best tips and tricks, nuggets, Easter eggs. Great stuff on there to learn how to like be a musician and be a model just like me. Hey, so let's do it. So welcome to this new movie. The new movie is called let me get that title again. in accordance with that whole speech that I just gave on getting a career. Uh, t- 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 Yeah, here at Dark South, we like to take things a little slow via the name. Don't know if you guys recognize that, but where's that name of the movie again? Oh yeah, there it is. Mark Antony XX career corruption leads to Southern darkness. So that whole speech I just gave, you can obviously figure that out where I'm coming from. And again, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy for everyone that's successful on social media. I just like to keep things real for my audience and everyone that knows me and, appreciates what I do. That's all. When you have nephews and nieces, you want to, hopefully, in this world that we live in, you want everybody to, especially the little ones, um, you know, babies, adolescents, and stuff like that, you want them to get into a career that they want to do. You know, you don't, I mean, with the times that we're in, being in 2026, and I'm not going to open a can of worms, but like, we don't even, apparently, some world leaders are saying that we don't even know how valuable college is anymore, and I'm not going to extrapolate on that, but that's a deep statement. Okay, so that proves that we're living in different times, and I'm not second guessing myself because I know we are. Okay, but um, that just goes to show right there, like, you know, in the year 2026, AI obviously, okay, we're not getting into all that. So apply that title with that whole speech I just gave. That'll definitely show you guys where I'm coming from. So I'm just going to get into two things real quick here about modeling. And then I'm going to go back to my notes and I got to like get back into this content creation stuff where I'm giving you a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then you can see some of my new professional pictures towards the latter half of the movie. But I'll hit you. I'll give you guys these two tips and tricks right here when it comes to modeling. Firstly, don't look for the flattery. Look for the criticism. There is no human being on the face of this earth. I don't care if you won. This goes for women too. If you won the Miss America pageant yesterday, okay, nobody in the world of modeling deserves to be flattered. Why is that? It is because those who have come before you and those who have come after you, there's no such thing as I am the most beautiful specimen in this world and I demand respect because of it. That's not going to get you anywhere. If you are able to absorb the criticism correctly and actually see, you got to make sure that you're talking to a person who actually knows what they're talking about. Absorb it correctly and transform it into what they're telling you, like how to go. Like if you're talking to a photographer or somebody who owns a modeling agency, that's what you're looking for. If somebody was in awe of me and like my looks and my height and my muscles, whatever, okay, I would be looking at them like, okay, not that I don't have the confidence, but it's just like you always have work to do. This is a job. Okay, this isn't like, come everybody look, see how beautiful I am. Like, leave that at the door. Come in ready to work, ready to change, ready to transform in front of the camera That's how you're going to be great. Right? Okay. Now, what are my aspirations like in this movie, like moving forward? Like, okay, my most current modeling movie situation, like in this situation we're in right now, right after my 3 hour long special that I want you guys to watch. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment. I'm very proud of that. In Dark South, I'm basically looking for somebody to network my Instagram, take my Instagram modeling to the next level. Where we have like the right sponsorships and the right endorsements, and we're all making like big money. Those are basically my goals for Dark South moving forward. So there you go. So that ends this segment of the beginning of the new movie. And I am going to study my notes, watch some modeling content, and I'll get back to you in the next segment. Welcome to my new movie, Mark Antony XX. Career corruption leads to Southern darkness. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. I am Mark Antony Dark 66, and we are in the next phase segment of this movie. And I'm going to start out with 2 Easter eggs for you right off the bat. In my personal experience so far, the 2 most enriching, nourishing, topical things to use on your face in terms of staying young, looking rejuvenated, fixing wrinkles, etc. The 2 most greatest topical things that I've seen so far is number 1, retinol, and number 2, collagen. I guess your face starts wrinkling like kind of like in high school, or like whenever you become exposed to the sun, or whenever you have mannerisms where you scrunch your forehead a lot. It's like integrating yourself in those things at the right time is like really perfect. Like I don't think like, I mean these videos are for everyone, but I try to include everyone even though these videos aren't just for kids. Like if you're an adolescent teen, say you're like 17 years old, 18 years old, 19 years old, I wouldn't say you really need to do that to your skin. Just like a basic moisturizer every night, moisturizing face wash will do it. When you become like middle-aged and you're in front of the camera a lot, it's a little different. I'm kind of speaking like from 20-year-olds on. Again, everyone's different. If you have a job where you're in the sun, or you've been lifeguarding every summer since you're 14 years old, like stuff like that. You need to start taking care of it when it becomes like something noticeable, like this crease that you really can't see on my forehead anymore because I use the right products and stuff. It doesn't, modeling and wrinkles and stuff, that doesn't, and I wanted to start off with this because there's this huge misconception, and I'm going to reiterate this, like you can model at any age, old, young, black, white, male, female, like it really, fair skin, dark skin, really doesn't matter. It's more about getting them to appreciate what you have and getting them to say, that's who we're going to use. So it's like these types of things, you really shouldn't be using retinol if you're like 18 years old. That's just my opinion. Okay, there's no other way to say it. Your skin hasn't matured yet. You probably just got over a couple acne breakouts. Probably been using benzoyl peroxide and stuff like that. There's so many different variables that come into play, but you have to really think about your age before you dive into like everything that I'm saying. I would say most of my movies are made for, you know, models who are over the age of 18. If you happen to be under the age of 18, you can watch these, but you're not like, I don't really consider like a teenager like done growing yet. I consider a teenager like somebody who's fighting acne, who has oily skin. Putting more serums on your face to, you know, make your skin more oily wouldn't necessarily help you. So there you go. Um, those two nuggets are real. Collagen, retinol. When you need them, when your skin starts drying out. Um, if you are a teenager and you really want to use them, I would say just use them in the summertime, like after a day in the sun, if your skin's noticeably dry, stuff like that. Um, this is a huge red flag, and I talked about this. I remember the movie title. I talked about this in the one watch. Before I get into this, watch my other movie and then watch this. Um, my other movie is Old School Fashion. That's the title of it. Mark Ant something or another, Old School Fashion. It's on the page. Definitely watch it. I definitely start out talking about this. When you're dealing with the crowd and you're dealing with, um, like, how do you say it? Like, you're dealing with, I want to say, like, haters or people who are challenging you or people who are making fun of you. When you are first starting out, okay, and you're working on your portfolio, beware of those who, like, pounce on you, like, right away. Like, in other words, like, you just started modeling 6 months ago and, you have somebody in your face laughing, jeering at you, making fun of you. The first thing that I'm going to say is, connecting that to what I said in my previous movie, connecting this is, if you're at that stage and you're already having people, like, really, like, hate on you, the first thing I'm going to say is, your portfolio is not like a 1 day thing. Okay? Like, I've decided to take my modeling career a little slower, but I literally just did my headshots yesterday. And like my headshot, not that I've never done headshots before, but headshots that I would send to an agency because I'm comfortable with like how my head and neck look. Now, there's another thing that I'm going to say here. Because I work for myself, okay, some people would get really, really self-conscious about this. I have baby fat on my neck, obviously, and like, okay, like two chins, whatever you want to call it. I am more comfortable having baby fat like that, and I get away with it, but I've been modeling since I'm 14 years old, so I kind of know what I look like, and I'm comfortable in the skin I'm in. And if I was with a real modeling agency and they wanted me to lose the neck, yeah, I would lose it. But first, I would say, all right, where's my money? You know what I mean? When you get to that point, then you start calling those types of shots. But segueing back to somebody hating on you 6 months in, your portfolio is not done in 6 months. The only way that I would say that that's like mildly humanly possible is if you are just the biggest supermodel in the world and you got signed to 4 modeling deals and you just made, you know, $200 million modeling in your first 6 months, and you know, now you have a hater in front of you. Like, your portfolio isn't ready until your body has been acclimated to being a pro model day in and day out. It's not something that happens in 6 months. It's not necessarily something that happens in a year. I would say the minimum on average would be a year to get your portfolio together. You know, you're taking like a lot of pictures a week, but I'm not saying like Instagram modeling. I'm saying like you have a photographer who is taking pictures of you, you're getting feedback, you're in a studio. Like, I'm no offense to anybody who just does Instagram modeling. I'm an Instagram model myself. I'm not saying that, but you have to, when the word portfolio, okay, the first thing to me that comes to mind, and again, I'm old school, okay, 2 years, sorry, okay, like, you're not going to wow anybody in the first 6 months that you're doing this. Like, I'm sorry, it's just realistically not going to happen. If it does happen, I tip my hat to you. You're probably a better model than me. But I'll say 90% of the time, I don't think that's a real thing. I don't think that's like really realistic and like tangible. And to end that segment of information is like, if you really have somebody like in your face like hating on you in the first 6 months, first of all, you don't know what a portfolio is. They definitely don't know what a portfolio is. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes minimum a year. Even after a year, I would still say you're not ready until you do at least 2 professional shoots, like with a photographer. In other words, that's how, if you have that type of situation where someone's hating on you in your first 6 months, you either got to remove this person like from your circle of friends, you know, distance yourself or something like that, because it's, I'm telling you that they're hating on you because they haven't even given you a chance. You haven't given yourself a chance. And friends like that can be toxic because, you know, they don't even know what they're talking about and you don't even know what you're doing. So watch out for situations like that. If you want to wing it on Instagram and like, hey, I'm a model, like, yeah, you can do that. You know, anything goes nowadays, but like if you really want to take this to the next level and, you know, like you're telling your friends like, hey, like I'm going pro, like, you know, really serious about this, like, you know, watch out for those types of haters, because those types of influences in your life could be totally toxic and totally misleading. Me personally, again, just to reiterate, in old school fashion, I've never really had those types of people around me. My friends, I've had tough guy friends who, you know, I would say they would make fun of me a little bit, but not to the point where it was like, oh, you know, I shouldn't be doing this, or, you know, I would question myself, because really, like, more than half the time when I tell my friends, like, hey, my mom was a pro model, it's like in my blood. I'm like just carrying the torch, you know, like, you know, they usually like back off. Like, I never really had that much of a problem. The people I did reference in that movie just so happen to be my family members. I'm not dropping names. I'm over it. These family members even recently gave me a couple nice compliments the last time I saw them, in their own way. we've basically patched things up since then. But this ego that you have to exude confidence, and really that's a huge obstacle, especially if you have a person in your family who's going against the grain and like, oh, look at this person, they're so embarrassing, and all this hater talk and stuff. So like, watch out for that. Next topic. Again, I just said like my baby fat that I decided to keep on my neck. This is more of like a kind of like a pro move. I mean, I don't. There's guys that do neck exercises. I'm not saying I don't do that. I'm saying that um, I'm more comfortable with it. My girlfriends, my girlfriends have told me that it looks cute. I'm okay with like the baby boy look. I don't like the extremely muscular 0% body fat look. Again, if somebody presented me with a contract for a good pay, I would totally get into shape for it. But that's something that uh, I have a level of moxie with, and like, okay, well, you know, you want me to lose some weight, you want me to get more in shape. Well, where's the money? You know, so that's a second tidbit of information that I want to give you in terms of like how to assert yourself with these modeling companies. Um, Two more things in this segment. The first thing was I've been doing videos. I just want to shout out my cousins that I grew up with. You know who you are. I'm not about dropping names on here, even in a positive way. I like to give everyone their privacy. Um, Really, when it comes to like me being in front of the camera, I'm very, very overly comfortable with it. My first home videos were shot when I want to say I was in elementary school. Uh, they were more humorously themed movies that I wanted to make with my cousins because I used to be at my cousins like every weekend. Again, you guys know who you are. I love you guys if you're watching this. One of my cousins just got married less than a year ago. We're kind of like close in a sense of like brothers and sisters that we grew up together. I love you guys, but just so you know, like a little more in depth to my character, I've been shooting videos since I was in elementary school, and I've always had this artistic side of me where I can look at a movie, create a movie, a beginning, a middle, and an end, make it entertaining, bring some charisma to the table, etc., etc. So the last section of this movie, I just wanted to clarify a few things. Before the end of this movie, I might change. I'm definitely keeping the career corruption leads to Southern Darkness. Like, that's definitely going to stay in the title. I don't know if I'm going to name this like a semi documentary. I'm just going to check with Dark South and we'll see what ideas we have before I actually post this. A few things I wanted to clarify is these like modeling movies. We call them movies for a couple reasons. Number one, it's because they're like it's like a documented series of my modeling career. Okay, now it's like there are other characters in my company, Dark South, that are fictional characters. Um, there's a fictional character in my company. His name is Jamer. He wears a mask, and he's a character there for symbolic purposes. Me, Mark Anthony Dark 66, I am a real person. This is who I really am. I'm not really documenting my everyday life. I'm more just sitting talking about my documented modeling career. but I am a real person, and that Mark Anthony Dark 66 is strictly a stage name for my privacy. I'm not going to get on social media with like my first name and my last name, and this is where I live, stuff like that. Like I don't really project that to the outside world like that. I like my privacy. So really, there could be a confusion there that like I'm playing a character, but like I am a real model. I am an Instagram model. I'm a real person. I just have that name as a stage name for my privacy purposes. The Jamer character is a fictional character who, we do skits with, scripted stuff. Again, this is all scripted. I have notes that I'm reading. And then the James person is my photographer. Okay, so then there again, we're segueing into this like Dark South acting. It's coming up this summer, summer 2026, maybe even before then, but we will have more fictional characters like on camera on this channel, not to get confused between me having a stage name and an actual like fictional character that I'm in the process of creating, that I'm going to play in front of the camera, etc., etc., etc. We at Dark South Limited don't have a producer. We're definitely going to keep things that way because things are easier that way. We're not going to put a producer on the payroll, but like when you watch these movies, you can kind of like get confused. So I just had to clarify that for you. Like Mark Anthony Dark 66 is a real person with a stage name. Jamer is a fictional character. You may see more fictional characters coming on this channel in the future. So there you go. There's the clarification. Again, I don't know exactly what we're going to name this before we drop it, but hopefully we'll give you a good title. There's some great Easter eggs, great modeling content that I'm giving you. You can really apply this to all areas in life. I feel really good when I do these movies. Soak it up like a sponge, like your SpongeBob. Just kidding. But take this advice in stride. And if you want to be a pro, model, then soak it up like a sponge. I am Mark Anthony Dark 66. Thank you for watching my movies. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave me a nice comment. We'll see if we can help you in your modeling career. Have a great spring, have a great summer. I'll see you in the next movie. Peace.